As I ride through my city, I'm thinking, looking at the light. For so long we was hurting, I got the chance to make it right. Plenty times you done hurt me, I done been all alone at night. They claim that they with me, but they should've known that they ain't right. Gotta stay down and get it, I know that it's gonna be alright. Can't get knocked off my pivot, I gotta play my cards right. Gotta stack up them benches, my fucking we gon' ball for life. Alright, that's cool.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and Happy New Year! Wekiva High School welcomes you for the first time of 2018 to Mustang Arena for varsity basketball competition. Please welcome our guests from Dr. Phillips High School. They are the Panthers. And they'll be taking on your Wekiva High School Mustangs. Before we begin our game this evening, we ask that you please stand as we honor America with the playing of our national anthem. And now let's meet the starting lineups for both teams. We'll begin with our guests from Dr. Phillips, and we'll start at guard with 6'1" junior, number 1, Dante Love. At forward, 6'2" junior, number 4, Devin Buchanan. At guard, 6'2" senior, number 10, Daniel Love. At guard, 6'2" sophomore, number 12, Abdoulaye Thiam. And finally for the Panthers at forward, 6'5" senior, number 23, Esdras Jean. The head coach of the Panthers, who has spent many years with Dr. Phillips, but his first year as head coach, Mr. Daniel Batchelor, and his assistant coaches, Wantonius Campbell and Justin Shipp. And now let's meet the starting lineup for your Wekiva High School Mustangs. At guard, 6'4" freshman, number 15, Michael James. At guard, 5'10" junior, number 12, Isaac Lester. At forward, 6'3" senior, number 4, Samuel Bostic. At point guard, 6'2" senior, number 1, Tyron Perry. And finally for the Mustangs at power forward, 6'4" senior, number 24, Jeremy Johnson. The head coach of the Mustangs in his fourth year at Wekiva is head coach Mr. Justino Lubin and assistant coaches Rodney Oliver II and Charles Hardy. The officials for tonight's game are from the Central Florida Officials Association here in Orlando. Tonight's game is being live streamed at WekivaMustangs.com. If you have friends and family back home who could not make it out tonight, they can follow along play by play. Just go to WekivaMustangs.com and scroll down to Mustang TV. It works on your TV or on your regular computer as well as your favorite mobile device. Again, it is WekivaMustangs.com. Go ahead and send a text message, an email, Facebook message, whatever you need to do right now, and let them know that we are live streaming right now. All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Mustang Arena Neil Fisher from the Apopka Chief joins me. My name is Mark Barchi, the voice of the Mustangs, and we will be taking you through tonight's game, the first of the new year between the Mustangs and the Panthers.
And as always, Mark, it's great to be back. Of course, as you just mentioned, a brand new calendar year. Hopefully, Wekiva will get off to a better start than they did. This is actually their second game of the new calendar year, and I'll speak in just a moment. But wish best of luck and a great new year for all of our listeners out there, as well as those having to do with Wekiva Mustangs.
And so the first possession is going to go out of bounds on the rebound. Mustangs will take over and try their luck.
So Wekiva comes in. They've had an up-and-down season, as we've mentioned it, since the beginning of the season, as Michael James tries to put down an alley-oop there, and he can't. DP comes down at the other end, takes a 15-foot field goal, which is not good. But as we get ready here, Wekiva has been up and down as they've tried to integrate several new players, not just new players into the rotation, but new players in at the varsity level.
And that was Dante Love being called on the block for his first personal foul, the team's first as well. We're going to get another foul here away from the ball. Dante Love picks up his first and second personal fouls. Block one. Block one.
And, of course, Wekiva right now is 4-6. That's only 4 victories against 6 losses, which, they came off of that final appearance, state final last year. And they do also come in with a 72-65 loss to Boca Raton Bobcats at the Charger Classic this last Saturday.
Jeremy Johnson is called on his first personal foul, the team's first. Checking into the game for DP, number 30, Trey Schick. And so Dante Love is going to have to come out here as he picks up 2 fouls in a row.
Yeah, and just to finish up my thought there, Wekiva in that game against Boca Raton, which was eventually a 72-65 loss, the story of that game was the same as it's been all season. Wekiva is still trying to learn the who, what, when, and where of playing together.
Offensive foul is called against number 24.
And basically that who, what, when, where, and not having that experience pretty much turned into them giving up a 10-point lead and some very subtle but decisive mistakes as the game came down to its final stretch. So, again, Wekiva's been very up and down this season. A lot of stretches where they played really well together and a lot of stretches where they looked very disjointed and trying to find their footing. And we're, of course, seeing that in tonight's game as they have yet to score 2 minutes in. Of course, the good news is DP, I'm not quite as familiar with their situation, but at least for this game, they look like they're trying to find their footing too here, possibly because it could be their first game in a couple of weeks.
Abdul Atham on the pass from Daniel Love.
Who scored?
12.
12?
12 from 10.
And, of course, another story to this is that DP has a head coach, change in head coaches this year as well.
Isaac Laster steals 2 for the Mustangs.
As Daniel Batchelor takes over for Anthony Long, of course, the longtime coach at Dr. Phillips.
Juno Anisette steals 2 for the Panthers. So a jump shot there after the turnover. Mustangs are going to have to watch that tonight. They're now down 6-2, 3 minutes into the first quarter.
And so far, 3 minutes in, neither team has come up with an offensive rebound. Been a lot of missed field goals. About 15 have been taken combined.
Jeremy Johnson is fouled on the attempt. He'll go to the line and shoot 2. Panther foul is called against Juno Anisette. That's his second personal foul. And it's the team's fourth. Checking into the game for the Panthers, Devin Buchanan. And so now 2 players will go down for the Panthers in the first quarter. And Johnson hits his second at the free throw line after missing the first.
6-3 ball game here.
Daniel Love sets it up for the Panthers. Tyrone Perry playing guard duty. We're going to get an offensive foul. Who is it on? Foul's called against number 4, Devin Buchanan, his first, team's 5th.
So that, even though Dr. Phillips takes an early 6-3 lead, they have turned the ball over 3 times. Wekiva yet to turn it over despite missing a lot of field goals. And as soon as I say that, of course, Wekiva turns it over.
Sam Bostic on the pass from Isaac Laster.
A nice give and go there by Laster and Bostic. Again, we've been off for a couple weeks too, Mark, and we need to get back into shape.
Push is called against number 15, Michael James, his first, the team's second. Checking into the game for the Panthers, Jordan Poventud. Down to a 1-point game. Mustangs so far not playing a pretty basketball game, but they are staying in it.
Yes, again, like I just mentioned, Dr. Phillips has turned the ball over 3 times already, actually 4 now.
Daniel Love from the baseline for 2.
Nice touch there as the rim was very kind to Love.
Johnson cannot get the 3 to go. Rebound goes to Daniel Love.
Probably a little too quick there on pulling the trigger there for Johnson.
Abdoulaye Thiam for 2 on the pass from Daniel Love.
So far, Dr. Phillips has really lived up to their reputation. A team that likes to run. They've only had a couple of half-court sets here.
And now they have 2 unanswered possessions. But no more. Jeremy Johnson on the pass to Tyrone Perry for 3. Mustangs have cut it back to a 1-possession ball game.
Who scored?
Gene too hot on the layup, but he gets his own putback. Ezra's Gene on the second chance basket. Number 1, Tyrone Perry made the 3. Jeremy Johnson is fouled on the attempt. He'll go to the line and shoot 2 for the Mustangs. Foul is called against Panthers, number 23, Ezra's Gene, his first, the team's 6th.
So, again, Mark, to further expand on what you're saying, Dr. Phillips has certainly lived up to the reputation as a running team. Wekiva has pretty much matched them. It's been a very quick pace, very crisp as far as the pace not slowing down. I can't say the same for the actual execution, but certainly if you're a fan of running and up-tempo, this is your game.
So Johnson goes 1 for 2 at the line. Rebound goes to the Panthers. Mustangs have got it back to a 3-point game. Jordan Johnson nearly knocks the ball away from the Panthers, but they get it out to Love, who takes the 3. It's not going to go, though. And Johnson is there for the rebound.
And also, while I got the...
Foul is called against number 21, Jordan Poventud. That's his first. And the team's 7th. The basket by Sam Bostic is good. He's shooting for the 3-point play.
And as you just mentioned, Mark, DP has 7 fouls already. That's translated into 5 free throws for Wekiva. that basket did not count. That free throw, Mark, was he?
No, it was ruled a violation.
So an opportunity there for Wekiva to draw even.
Foul is called here against number 3, Shea Davis. His first, the team's third.
The opportunity to draw even with DP goes by the boards there.
As Regina's at the line shooting 2 for the Panthers.
And, of course, it's not so much the score drawing even in itself that's important at this point. What's important is the fact that it gives Wekiva some momentum. They've been behind this whole game, and quite frankly, they have not looked like the team that we would like to see here. Give them some confidence there if they could draw even. In the meantime, one of the 2 free throws go in, so Wekiva does have an opportunity to draw even, and they will.
Sam Bostic from Tyrone Perry with a basket and another chance at a 3-point play. The foul this time is called against Jordan Poventa. That's his second personal foul, the team's 8th.
So again, another beautiful play there. And Dr. Phillips, for about the first 5 minutes of this game, really exerted its presence through the running game. And now Wekiva is answering as they've had 2 3-point opportunities.
Yeah, and if you look at the foul situation, Dr. Phillips with 8 to the Mustangs 3. That's a big part of the reason why. Some of those offensive that turned into turnovers, others were defensive that turned into free throws. Ezra's Jean is fouled on the putback attempt. He'll go to the line and shoot 2. The Mustang foul is called against Michael James. That's his second personal foul. And it's the team's 4th. And here comes a sub for James. No surprise there as he picks up his second.
And again, while we got the opportunity here, Dr. Phillips, even though they do have a new coach, this is their 3rd different new coach they've had during the last 23 years. And the reason I say 23 years is I believe that's what the streak of 20-plus victories is at.
Yes, and actually, Coach Batchelor was an assistant coach for years with Anthony Long. Before Anthony Long retired. So even though it is a transition in coaching, it's not as big of a transition as it could have been.
No, of course, that's nothing unusual for your top assistant coach to take over. But the point is that every coach does, maybe the system or the culture of the field doesn't change, but it does take some time to adjust to a new coach's personality, a different voice. And nonetheless, where I was going with that is for those of you who follow college football, of course, when Miami Hurricanes were in their glory days from about 1981 all the way to the late 90s, they won at least 11 games every year, and they were always ranked in the top 5 and considered a national championship contender. And they had 4 different coaches, so that level of excellence continued, and the same is true for Dr. Phillips.
Tyrone Perry, 4-3. And that will give the Mustangs their first lead of the game. Nice pick here.
And again, that was beautiful rotation there by the Mustangs to get Perry open on the left wing, and of course,
no sooner than that, they're called for traveling. Panthers ball.
Nonetheless, this would be a very, very important victory for Wekiva. As I said, a team that's won 20-plus victories in 23 straight years.
Dante Love for 2.
To come back and be able to defeat them really does give a team a lot of confidence and momentum and basically a blueprint moving forward.
So we're back to a tie ball game. Mustangs perhaps will have the last word of the first quarter here. And while it has not been a particularly smooth ball game for either team, what they have at least accomplished is avoiding any runs. No more than 1 or 2 unanswered baskets on either side.
Yeah, again, Mark, it's also been a very entertaining game for the fans. Definitely not what you would have seen 20 years ago with a slow pace.
Hold is called against number 10, Daniel Love. His first and the team's 9th, and it puts Anthony Davis at the line shooting 1-on-1 bonus. So the Mustangs catch a break there. Another instant, and that would have been a held ball. But Love sticks his hand in first. 1-1 is missed, but Tyrone Perry gets the rebound. Chance to put in a three. That doesn't go.
Nice job by Perry underneath the boards there, creating that space. And
that takes us to the end of the first period, and we'll end it the same way we started it, with a tie score. It's a new ball game at the end of 8 minutes. 17-17 is the score at the end of the first quarter.
And so, as we get ready here for the second period, as you said, Mark, I think you summed it up best. Not the best cleanly played game, especially with the execution. But no team has put together a run. Both teams have at least put themselves in a position to be able to build on what they did in that first half. Of course, Dr. Phillips took the early lead, leading by as much as 6-2, but Wekiva never really fell behind by more than 4 points, and eventually wound up taking the lead before the quarter ended with a tie.
The Mustangs have the opening possession of the second quarter.
So as we begin the second quarter here, tied at 17 all, Wekiva has the opportunity to take the lead for the second time in this game. And no sooner do I say that than Dr. Phillips changes the whole complexion of the game.
Dante Love gets a basket, a chance to make it a three-point play. Sam Bostic was called on his first foul.
Nice play there by Love, and Love really has carried this team, at least from the offensive standpoint.
Jeremy Johnson is fouled on the rebound by Panthers. Number 1, Dante Love. It's his third personal foul, the team's 10th, and Johnson will now shoot 2 for double bonus.
And so, as you mentioned there, and it does feel odd, Wekiva's already in the double bonuses here with 8 minutes left. Well, 7 minutes, 43 seconds left in the first half. And that could be huge. We've seen a couple of games so far this year, Mark, where one team got into the bonus fairly early, but we're talking maybe 5 minutes left in the first half, not almost an entire half. So both free throws are good, and we're tied at 19 all again with 7:43 left in the second half. And Wekiva is now going to what I like to call that semi-full court press. They had 2 guards in the backcourt, but neither of them really was pressuring and trying to prevent the inbound pass. It was more of just to let DP's guards know that Wekiva is here.
Devin Buchanan is fouled on the putback attempt. He'll go to the line and shoot 2. Shea Davis is called on the Mustangs foul. It's his second and the team's 6th.
And by the way, that was only the second offensive rebound combined this game. Both teams now have 1 offensive rebound. That's another reason this game has been so up and down, is all the rebounds have been defensive. They've all been, most of the shots that have been missed have been more than 10 feet, which creates that long rebound. And when you get that long rebound, you can get into up-tempo because you're already about halfway through the backcourt.
Kevon Smith is into the game for the Mustangs.
2 shot. Who was that to free?
Shooter was number 4 block. Made 1 this one. So with that free throw, the Panthers pick up a 1-point edge. Nice pass, but it's blocked. That's Esdras Jean, who slaps the ball away from Anthony Davis. Tyrone Perry misses. It's going to go to the Panthers.
And now Wekiva, as they did throughout the first quarter, they're playing a 2-3 zone defense.
Daniel Love for three.
And again, Daniel Love has really been carrying the Panthers offensively.
Turnover here as the ball is stolen by Thiem. He's not able to get it to go. Gets his own rebound, though. Can't get the three to go either, and Kevon Smith gets the rebound.
So defensively, Wekiva's played well. However, they've had several possessions, I'd probably say half a dozen, where they have not extended far enough out to prevent Love from getting that open shot. And that's really why Love has been able to score as many points as he has.
Tyrone Perry trying to get around Love here. Rebound goes to Love. Panthers can't get anything in transition, trying to beat the Mustangs into the paint. Jordan Poventad draws the foul. He'll be at the line shooting two. The hold is called against Mustangs. Isaac Laster, his first personal foul on the team's seventh.
So now Wekiva's in the bonus as well. We still got 5:45 left in this first half. And both teams are in the
Shea
bonus.
Davis and Jeremy Johnson back in for Wekiva.
So both teams are in the bonus with 5:45 left in the first half.
Missed one, made one, right?
Mm-hmm. And so now as we come back to the other end here, DP is remaining in their rotating 2-3 zone, and they get the turnover there.
Yeah, that's Daniel Love picking off Isaac Laster.
And now, like I mentioned during that first half, Wekiva actually got a huge advantage because they did not commit a turnover for the first 6 minutes or so. Now they're starting to go the opposite way. They commit 3 turnovers here in the first half of the second quarter. And over to my left, I can hear Coach Lubin yelling he wants his team to attack the basket.
That's just what they do. Kevon Smith on the Mustang layup.
As soon as he said that, you could see Smith lowering his shoulder. Now Wekiva's going to a full court press. Not a press where they're just wanting DP to know they're there, but actually trying to get a turnover.
So Kevon Smith gets the steal, and then Smith draws the foul on the attempt. The block is called against Devin Buckhannon. His second personal foul.
And basically both the guards there, Perry and Smith, trapped the inbound pass. As soon as the DP player got a hold of it, I couldn't quite see who it was because he was actually in the corner and he had nowhere to throw it, so he threw up a lazy pass which was intercepted at half court.
So Smith makes both of his free throws. That takes it back to a one-point ball game for the Mustangs. Again, as I mentioned earlier, so critical that neither team has allowed the other to get on anything of a run. I don't think we've seen more than 2 unanswered baskets on either side so far tonight. We'll go to Ansett in the corner. That's not going to go. The putback isn't going to go for Thiem either. And Jeremy Johnson comes up with the rebound for Wekiva.
Yeah, Jeremy Johnson there showed his experience using his body.
Tyrone Perry for 3 from Kevon Smith.
Jeremy Johnson using his body to shield himself from the rest of the DP offense to get that rebound, and then the quick outlet pass to Perry to set him up for the tray. Beautiful job there between the two seniors.
Kevon Smith is called on the foul on the block. It's his first personal, the team's 8th. The basket by Juno Anisette is good. He's at the line shooting for the three-point play. So an unnecessary foul there by Smith. This was really after the shot, but still part of the continuous motion, which is why he got credit for the basket and a chance to make it a three-point play.
Yeah, and now we're seeing both teams are falling. They're making a lot of good plays, but then they come back and make a bad decision there.
For example, 3 seconds in the key, Mustangs ball.
So again, we've been mentioning it all year. That's pretty much been how Wekiva's played. But I can't really say the same for DP because I didn't know him. Again, perhaps maybe the fact that they did have a couple of weeks off is their reason.
Jeremy Johnson's three has got too much mustard on it. Daniel Love gets the rebound. Anisette tries to get something done in transition, but it won't go for him. And Bostic gets the rebound for Wekiva. So Johnson in the corner thought about the three, decided better of it. He'll go down the baseline, cut to the other side. Shea Davis going toe-to-toe with Buchanan.
And
Can't
now
get anywhere there either. Perry will reset the play.
And Dr. Phillips, again, remains in that 2-3 zone.
Shea Davis from downtown. Well, he didn't like the easy three, so he took the hard three instead. And, well, he must know something that I don't because it worked for him.
And Wekiva goes back out in front by 3 points. And now, again, the full court press remains on. And it's a 1-2-2 full court. Actually, it's a 2-1-2. Excuse me. Both of the guards are converging on the player who receives the inbound pass as soon as it's completed.
So the Panthers get in trouble in the backcourt, and Coach Batchelor will call for a 30-second timeout requested by Dr. Phillips. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, tonight's game is being webcast live at WekivaMustangs.com. Make sure your friends and family know. Send them a text right now, WekivaMustangs.com.
And again, Mark, I know you've mentioned it a couple of times, but we do actually have a run. It doesn't seem like it, but Wekiva scored 10 of the last 12 points.
Offensive rebound. Will set up a play to Juno Anisette from the key. And so he picks up his 6 points there for the number 24 jersey. Perry is going to get picked off. Ezra's Jean steals 2 for the Panthers. Well, that'll break up the momentum. It also puts Dr. Phillips back on top. Jeremy Johnson looking for options. He'll go to the middle with Kevon Smith. Rotation to Davis. Takes the three, wide left. And it's going to go out of bounds off of the Panthers. Nice break there for the Mustangs as Theum got in the way of that one. It'll give the Mustangs another shot at this possession.
And another thing to keep an eye on here is Dr. Phillips has done actually a nice job of minimizing the damage done by being in the bonus. Wekiva's only been to the line for 2 free throws.
So not a steal in the traditional sense, but give Daniel Love credit there for making Shea Davis turn the ball over out of bounds.
Yeah, the 5th of the period for Wekiva.
Love can't get the three. Perry gets the rebound, immediately sends it over to Jeremy Johnson. Coast to coast for 2.
And again, senior leadership, senior experience coming through there as Johnson saw the opening. It wasn't for very long, but he attacked it immediately.
Abdoulaye Theum on the pass from Juno Anisette.
So we've had a run where both teams have gotten in on dribble drives. Both teams laxing, getting a little lazy there on the defensive end.
Trey Shook is into the game for Daniel Love. We haven't seen Love get a lot of rest so far today.
And Wekiva goes back to the full court press here again. DP does a nice job of breaking it. Several passes from one side to the other, and that also sets up that running layup.
Abdoulaye Theum for 2. The Panthers now lead the Mustangs by 3. Johnson hits a wall at the baseline. 12.
And now Dr. Phillips has yet to go to a full court press. They've been relying on their half court zone, letting Wekiva bring the ball up and then attacking as soon as they cross midcourt.
Foul is called against number 30, Trey Schick. It's his first. Mustangs now in double bonus. Jeremy Johnson will shoot 2.
Important free throws here as Dr. Phillips has regained the momentum.
First free throw isn't going to go for Jeremy Johnson, but since it's double bonus, he'll get a second one anyway. Second one finds the mark. And the Mustangs have cut it back to a 2-point game. One way or the other, we're going to go into halftime with a very tight contest, and we're going to get an offensive call here. Offensive charge is called against number 21, Jordan Poventude.
And that looked like a bit of an odd play there, Mark, as Pavanad didn't really lower his shoulder or drive. He just kind of threw it up there. He stopped in the middle of the paint and just threw it up as if foul had already been called.
Foul is called against number 23, Esdras Jean, his second. Jeremy Johnson will shoot 2. This time he hits the first. In case anybody's counting, that's actually the 14th foul of the half for Dr. Phillips.
Now, unfortunately, you can't carry him over to the second half. And that's something I think we're going to see a lot of here in the second half. Jeremy Johnson at the free throw line. And now Dr. Phillips looks like they're setting up for the last shot. Wekiva didn't really harass him on the inbound pass like they had on the previous several possessions.
Push is called against Shea Davis. His third personal foul, the team's 9th. The Panthers in bonus at the line, shooting 1-1, Daniel Love. So Daniel Love did not get a very long rest for the Panthers.
And you've mentioned Love a lot, too, tonight.
He hits his first, guaranteeing that we won't have an exact carbon copy of the first quarter, which was 17-17.
So the good news, though, for Wekiva is that the foul does at least set them up for the last shot of the first half with 17.7 seconds left. And now DP retreats to the half-court zone like they have the whole game. And Perry brings the ball up here, and let's see what he does here.
He's going to turn it over is what he's going to do. What was that about the last shot of the half, Neil?
Well, I didn't say they would take it. I said they were set up to take the last one. So,
hedge your bets there.
And again, as we mentioned all the way back at the beginning of the game, Wekiva's been very up and down, not just from game to game, but from possession to possession.
Daniel Love, a little too hot on the jumper. Tyrone Perry's going to have to go way long. Hey, that wasn't bad. Give him at least like half a point for that. And that takes us to halftime. Nearly a carbon copy of the first quarter, which was 17-17. But the Panthers will edge the Mustangs by just 2 going into the locker rooms. 36-34 is your score at halftime.
And so as we go into halftime, Mark, basically what we expected.
Going to have to reboot the whole system now.
Well, at least it was at halftime.
All right, for those of you who are listening online, we've got our video feed frozen here, but we will be back in about 9.5 minutes with the second half right here at Mustang Arena. The Panthers have the opening possession of the second half. All right, we are underway for the second half here at Wekiva. We're going to start with a turnover.
As Homer Simpson would say there, Mark, dope. But as we get into the second half here, stats, pretty much the percentages are probably the ones that stick out the most. As both teams, DP has 9 turnovers and Wekiva's 8. So field goal percentage is sticking out the most.
Abdulathiem opens up second half scoring with a 3 from Juno and Set.
And both teams are shooting about the same amount. Dr. Phillips is actually shooting 47%, going 14 of 30 from the floor.
Daniel Love. Perry can't get the 3 to go. It's going to go out of bounds off of his teammates. That was Isaac Laster that knocked it out of bounds on the rebound, and so it'll be Panthers ball. So in spite of a rough start, turning it over on their opening possession, the Panthers quickly redeem themselves, scoring a 3 and then a 2.
And as I was saying, Dr. Phillips shot 47% from the floor in the first half, where Wekiva shot 40%. And of course, it was a 2-point lead, so you can see that difference. But where it really was where the difference was between the 2 points and the 3 points, Wekiva took a tremendous amount more. They attempted 11, making 4, whereas Dr. Phillips only took 7 and made 1. Of course, obviously leading by 2 points, they don't need to take as many. 2-point field goals were 13 of 23 for Dr. Phillips and 6 of 14 for Wekiva. So DP took 9 more attempts at 2-point field goals. Wekiva took 4 more at 3-point field goals. And DP did also out-rebound Wekiva by a 20-15 margin.
Gino Anisette is called on his 3rd personal foul, the team's first of the half, and Michael James is the free throw line shooting 2.
And we haven't really called James' names that much tonight. As a matter of fact, I believe that's the first time you've mentioned him.
Well, what just happened? Who? Sam Bostic steals 2.
And as you just called it there, Mark, Wekiva turned the ball over on the strength of going to that full court press, and now they forced DP into a bad field goal attempt, even though it was under the basket. The shooter was not set as he went up there. And now Wekiva just as quickly has a chance to cut the lead back down to 1 possession.
Tyrone Perry can't get the first or the second, but he'll get fouled on the 3rd attempt. Foul's called against Gino Anisette, his 4th personal foul, the team's 2nd, and that will send Michael James back to the free throw line.
And there was nothing fancy about that. That was just pure and simple physical play. Wekiva crashed the boards. They got underneath it and created space for themselves. And that was a foul waiting to happen.
And it is the 4th for him, which is a very dangerous place to be this early in the 3rd quarter. Checking into the game for the Panthers, number 4, Devin Buchanan. So we won't see much from Anisette for at least a little while. And actually, that was the point I was just about to make when we had that Bostic steal a second ago. You were mentioning that we hadn't said a lot about Michael James in the first half, and part of the reason for that is, well, the first 2 things we said about him was that he picked up 2 fouls in the first quarter. And so he sat down for more minutes than he normally would have, and that probably directly led to it. Second free throw is going to be a miss for him, and the rebound goes to Daniel Love. Sends it off to Dante, and it's going to be Dante Love on the pass to Abdelaziam for 2. So the Panthers able to score there in transition, put it back up to a 5-point lead, and Tyrone Perry is going to give the ball away here to Dante Love, and then Dante Love draws the foul. He'll go to the line and shoot 2 for the Panthers. Tyrone Perry is called on the block, and that is his first personal foul, the team's first this half. So definitely that's just about as far south as a play can go with the steal, and then the player that lost the ball ending up drawing a foul to boot. Dante Love at the free throw line here. First is up and short.
So Wekiva catches a break there. By the way, DP was only 7 of 12 from the free throw line in that first half. Wekiva was 10 of 15, so neither team shooting the ball particularly well. So 1 of 2 free throws? So 1 of 2 free throws goes down, and the lead's back up to 6 points now with 5 minutes left in the third quarter. Neither team really seems to be improving on their play. A lot of up and down play.
Bostic down the paint, he's got it. Sam Bostic through the key for 2. Yeah, Coach Batchelor did not like leaving that lane open. And this time it's going to be Devin Buckhannon draws a foul. Foul is called against Mustangs number 4, Sam Bostic. That's his second personal foul. The team's second. And the crowd does not like that one. They wanted a charge call real bad there. But it looks like the official ruling is that he didn't have his feet planted. So, first free throw is good for Buckhannon.
These are the first 2 free throws taken by Dr. Phillips in the second half. And again, the free throw shooting's been okay, but nothing to write home about. Both teams have missed great opportunities to really take control and exert their presence. And now as Dr. Phillips gets ready to inbound the ball, Wekiva.
An illegal screen is called against Michael James, his third personal foul, the team's third. Checking into the game for Wekiva, number 3, Shea Davis. And for the Panthers, well, nobody yet.
And Wekiva now is going back to the full court press. Although after the inbound now, everybody relents except for Perry, who's going one-on-one with number 10.
That's Daniel Love. Passes it to Dante. Dante tries to go to the key. And we're going to get a foul prior to the shot.
And by the way, if you haven't realized yet, Dr. Phillips actually has 2 Loves on the roster. I believe they're brothers.
Shea Davis commits a holding foul. His 4th and the team's 4th. That was prior to the shot. Panthers ball at the baseline.
So there are 2 Loves on the Dr. Phillips roster.
Offensive foul is called against Daniel Love, his second, and the team's third.
And as we've mentioned, for both of them, they both play critical and major roles for Dr. Phillips. But, of course, that amount of frequency we announced the name Love has probably increased because there's 2 of them.
Yes, and Daniel, the elder of them, is a senior this year. He was named to the Orlando Sentinels All-Area team as an honorable mention in his junior year. Always impressive when you see players as underclassmen making lists like that. Shot from the baseline's not going to go. Rebound to Buckhannon. And then down at the other end of the court, Panthers get a little bit too confident in transition, and Tyrone Perry is there to take advantage on the steal. And we'll pause for a full timeout. Full timeout requested by the Mustangs.
And so when we come back here, We'll see if Wekiva can take advantage of that mistake by Dr. Phillips. Again, halfway through the third period, neither team's really put together a long stretch of consistently well-executed play. Both teams have been very up and down in their play. Of course, they've also been up and down as far as the pace. So it's been very exciting and entertaining, but not very well played at times.
Came in for Jeremy Johnson during that break. Jeremy Johnson has gotten very nearly 100% of the minutes in this game so far. So he'll finally get a chance to take a break. Tyrone Perry is fouled on his way to the basket. He'll go to the line and shoot two. Who's fouling? Foul is called against number 23, Esdras Jean. That's his third personal foul, the team's fourth.
And so this will be the fifth and sixth free throw taken by Wekiva in this third quarter. Dr. Phillips has only taken two.
First one is good for Perry. Second one also finds the mark. And that will cut it back to a one-possession game. Mustangs have never let this one get too far out of reach, but they are going to need to get a couple of unanswered points here. They want to have a chance at taking this one.
Dr. Phillips' biggest lead has been 7, which was right at the beginning of this quarter. And now, as Dr. Phillips inbounded the ball there, Wekiva went back to the full court press, and it paid dividends with the turnover.
Yep, Isaac Laster picking up the steal there. He's also going to take the shot at the other end. But it's too hot on the
for as good as there. That defense was, the offensive execution wasn't at the other end.
Basket by number 21, Jordan Poventude.
Really, Wekiva was never able to get the shot that they wanted the last time down.
Perry can't drain the three. Rebound goes to Daniel Love. That's his 10th rebound. And he's going to lose the ball to a steal by Tyrone Perry, who's been doing that a lot lately. And I think we're going to get a Panther foul here. Yes, we are. Dante Love is called on the foul. It's his fourth personal foul. And the team's fifth. Checking into the game for DP, Abdoulaye Thiam. And for the Mustangs, Kevon Smith returns.
So, and it's a non-shooting foul, which is a change from the first half, which, of course, DP reached the double bonus, or the bonus, at the beginning of the second quarter.
Bostic can't get anything to happen on the inbound. And the rebound is going to go to Thiam.
So unfortunately, another opportunity for Wekiva going by the board. An opportunity to not only cut into that lead, but establish some sense of its game.
Bostic gets the rebound here as Poventude's shot doesn't go. Illegal screen is called against Kevon Smith. It's his second personal foul, the team's fifth.
Good job on the defensive end there by Shane Davis. going side by side with, I couldn't see who was dribbling that, but he never allowed him to really get set for the basket to take a good shot there. The shooter was never able to square up to the basket.
And a little bit of confusion here on where it went out of bounds and who touched it last. All right, so they're going to say it goes to the Panthers here. Originally, it looked like they were going to call it as a jump ball, but one of the other officials had a better look at it. Some very fast rotation, and the three will not go for Thiem. Offensive rebound for Buckhannon, and so the Panthers are going to get yet a third shot at this possession.
And Bucknelly did a nice job there of reacting to that ball. He's about an inch taller, but
Jordan Boventud gets the basket and a chance to make it a three-point play. The foul is called against Shea Davis. Is that five? Is it five? It's his fifth personal foul, and he retires from the game with 3 points and 1 rebound for the Mustangs. Checking into the game for him is Jeremy Johnson. Again, at the line shooting 1, Jordan Boventud.
And as I was saying there, Buchanan did an excellent job of using his height advantage, but his jumping advantage. And that, of course, set up this potential three-point play. Quick pass over to Pervanon.
Johnson's going to try to get down the baseline, and he draws a foul. Jeremy Johnson fouled on the attempt. He'll be at the line shooting 2 for the Mustangs. Panther foul is called against number 23, Esdras Jean. That's his. 4? Is that 4? Is that 4?
So not a lot of offensive rebounding for either team. I believe combined there's less than 10. Actually, well, neither team's gotten 10 offensive rebounds yet. But those offensive rebounds have been critical, and there was the latest example with that three-point play being set up.
Can you make one or both of those? Both? So Johnson hits both of his free throws, and that cuts it back to a 6-point game.
And Wekiva's doing just enough to stay within 2 possessions.
Panthers cannot control the rebound. It'll instead go to the Mustangs. Michael James waits his turn for 2.
Yeah, and we're going to need Michael to get some baskets there going down if we're going to come from behind here.
Still a 4-point deficit for the Mustangs, as the floater from Buckhannon isn't going to go. We're going to get a foul on the putback, though. Foul's called against Mustangs number 12, Isaac Laster. That's his second, and the team's 7th at the line, shooting 2, Abdoulaye Thiem.
So not only has the offensive rebounds been few but critical, each individual one that is, so is the same at the free throw line. Most of the free throws, I venture to say over half of them, have been shooting fouls during the course of the entire game.
Second free throw is no good, but I believe it was Jeremy Johnson was called on a violation. And so Thiem is going to get one more chance here.
Yeah, and again, critical mistakes. Critical.
And he'll make it this time.
So Wekiva catches a break there, but does self-damage.
James can't get the shot to go down the baseline, but I believe he gets his own rebound and a chance to hit free throws instead. Foul's called against Trey Schick. That's his second personal foul. And the team's 7th, Michael James, will go to the line and shoot 2.
Nice job there by the freshman. Again, got his body underneath the basket and used his shoulders to get to the ball first.
He now has 5 points with that made free throw. Second is good as well. So that at least controls the damage that was done on the previous possession. 15 seconds to go in the third quarter. Mustangs continuing to press, but the Panthers get down to the other end. Three's not going to go for Palventude, but an offensive rebound for Theum. One more chance here, and they've got it. Daniel Love at the buzzer for three, and that takes us to the end of the third period. That shot puts the Panthers up by 7. 55-48 is the score, with 8 minutes left in the ball game.
And real quick here, too, Mark, as we end this third quarter, that is just a dagger in the heart. That's one of those plays that coaches just turn gray about. It is a kick to the gut. Wekiva did an excellent job stopping him on the initial thrust to the basket, the initial possession. So it's not just a matter of them getting the 3 points as the buzzer went off. It's also the fact that they lost what they had gained. And now, of course, the lead is back up to 7. See who got that rebound?
The Mustangs have the opening possession of the fourth quarter.
So as we begin the fourth quarter here, DP remains in the 2-3 zone, keeping it simple. So far, that simplicity has paid off dividends, holding a 7-point lead.
Push is called against number 4, Devin Buckhannon. His third and the team's 8th. Jeremy Johnson will shoot bonus. He hits his first.
So we're going to have to keep an eye on the free throws. And, of course, for those of you listening, they are going to be critical. From now on, all the free throws, all fouls are going to result in free throw attempts. Wekiva remains in a full court press, although we're not seeing backcourt pressure from the guards.
Jeremy Johnson picks off a steal from Jordan Palventude. Mustangs get an extra possession here, a chance to cut into the lead. Nice pass. Isaac Laster to Michael James.
Nice job there by Wekiva, not only coming up with the ball, but also passing it and transitioning it.
Kevon Smith gets the pick. Can't get a shot, but Michael James on the putback.
And so 2 possessions by DP and 2 turnovers.
Jordan Palventude is fouled on the way up. He'll be at the line shooting for the Panthers. Mustang foul. He's called against number 24, Jeremy Johnson. It's his second personal foul. And it's the team's 8th. First free throw is good for Palventude.
So now
Mustangs had it as low as 1 point here on a little run they put together at the beginning of the fourth period, but these 2 free throws will take it back to a 3-point game.
Yeah, so Wekiva came out and they actually showed some ability to sustain some momentum in their presence as far as exerting their game. The question is now, can they maintain it? And they're going to have to. They've, throughout the whole game, done enough to keep the lead at no more than 8, but they haven't really been able to get over that hump, make that one extra additional play, which forces DP into feeling like they're uncomfortable.
Tyrone Perry is called on the foul. It's his second personal. And the team's 9th. That'll send Devin Buckhannon to the line. After Michael James lost the ball to a steal by Jordan Palventude on the previous play. Got it down to Buckhannon, was able to draw the foul. First free throw is going to be good for him. Checking in for Dr. Phillips, Esdras Jean. And he has 4 fouls, so he's going to have to keep his nose clean here in the fourth quarter. Second free throw strikes as well.
So far, Dr. Phillips did not shoot the ball well in that first half, as I mentioned. Only 7 of 12. However, in the second half, they are 8 of 9, and that has really been the difference in them being able to maintain the lead.
And here we have an instant replay of the last possession with James losing the ball to a steal by Jordan Poventud. This time it's going to be Esdras Jean draws a foul. Tyrone Perry didn't like the call, but the referee just could not call it any other way.
Yeah, you could hear the smack of the hands over here at the scorer's table, Mark.
Perry's third personal, the team's 10th. Jean shooting 2.
And so Wekiva came out, and they looked like they were primed and on the verge of being able to put together maybe not a tangible run, one of those runs that stick out, but at least be able to show some ability to offset Dr. Phillips' play and be able to get into their game.
And they'll catch a break here with a double miss from Jean and a rebound from Tyrone Perry. He can't get the short jumper to go. And it's going to go out of bounds. They're going to say, oh boy. Mustangs catch a break there as Poventud touched it, thinking it was already out of bounds, but in fact it will go out off of him. And so the Mustangs will get another possession here with 6:16 left in the ballgame, trailing by 5. Michael James going to go to Jeremy Johnson in the paint. Just a little bit off the mark on his layup attempt. And Poventud gets the rebound.
So Wekiva, again, had that opportunity to cut into the lead.
Devin Buchanan is called on the offensive charge. It's his 4th personal foul, the team's 9th. No bonus shots on offensive fouls, but it turns the ball over to the Mustangs as Sam Bostic is in for Jeremy Johnson.
So Wekiva has not really been able to build on that opening 2 or 3 possessions where they got a couple of turnovers. They, of course, turned the ball over 2 times themselves.
James tries to find a way in. He'll just take the shot from where he is. Michael James on the jumper for 2.
Beautiful technique there. Again, something you don't always see from freshmen.
Yeah, he wanted to get closer there, but there wasn't an opening, and so he took a nice, beautiful motion shot from right where he was.
The important thing was he squared up to the basket there so he could get a straight line. And on the other end, DP misses a field goal there.
Tyrone Perry on the layup.
Wekiva doing a nice job there in forcing an off-balance shot from DP.
So we talked about the ability to get a couple of unanswered baskets in a row. The Mustangs have done just that, and they've taken it all the way back to a 1-point ball game, although they're going to have to weather a couple of free throws here. Isaac Laster is called on the foul. It's his 3rd personal. At the line shooting 2, Daniel Love.
Yeah, and by the way, for those of you listening at home, I recommend that you settle into your seat because we're going to get a lot of free throws here. So it's going to be a lot longer than 5 minutes and 11 seconds. So as you mentioned, last time down, Wekiva caught a break as Dr. Phillips missed both free throws. That's not the case this time.
Checking in for DP, Abdoulaye Thiam.
And again, as Wekiva inbounds the ball, trailing by 61-58 score with just over 5 minutes left, DP remains in a half-court set. They haven't shown any type of pressure beyond the half court, not 3/4 or full court. DP's been content to rely on the half court set, mostly a 2-3 zone. They've gone to a couple of other of them, but both of them are flexes out of that 2-3 zone.
Daniel Love called on his 3rd personal foul. It's the team's 10th, and Tyrone Perry will shoot 2. The Mustangs have an opportunity here to pull it back to a 2-point ball game. Perry does his part, hitting the first. Second is also a hit. The game well within reach for the Mustangs, but they have not led since late in the second quarter.
And now Wekiva goes to full court pressure, although it's kind of half-hearted. It's not necessarily intended to trap a player, just to let the ball carrier know that they are there.
Daniel Love floats a jumper in for 2.
Who got that? 10. Nice job there of squaring up again.
Answered by Isaac Laster for the Mustangs.
Nice job by Laster taking advantage of that opening. Saw it and attacked right away.
Love for 3, but they're going to call a foul after the ball was released, but still part of the motion. And Daniel Love is fouled behind the arc. That means he'll shoot 3 for the Panthers. Tyrone Perry called on his 4th personal foul.
And now, because we have both teams are in the fouls with over 4 minutes left, a lot of this game is going to also be determined on who can adjust to this up and down pace. Both these teams are up-tempo, as we've seen throughout the whole game. But, of course, when you go to the free throw line, that slows the pace of the game down. So we're going to see a lot of 2-3 possessions where the ball's going up and down the court, only to slow down on the next couple of possessions because of the free throws. Is he taking 3?
So Juno Anisette comes into the game to replace Esdras Jean. Third one bounces out. So Mustangs minimize the damage there. Just 1 out of 3, the middle one going in. Still a 1-possession ball game.
Yeah, and Wekiva, for all their trials and tribulations, could even take the lead. But they'll settle for tying yet.
Jeremy Johnson ties the game for the Mustangs.
And suddenly the game feels a lot different with that tie. Jeremy doing a beautiful job, up and down motion, and then going up in the air over the defender. Nice soft touch, and got the roll with that soft touch off the rim.
So the Panthers' lead of 12 consecutive minutes is finally interrupted. Daniel Love is fouled on the putback attempt. He'll go to the line and shoot 2. The Mustang foul. It's called against number 15, Michael James. That's his 4th personal foul. And Coach Lubin doesn't like that call.
No,
He's going to have to learn to live with it, but it is the 4th foul for Michael James. So now he has 2 players on the court with 4 fouls. That's Perry and James, as Love hits his first.
Yeah, and I could hear Coach Lubin yelling to the official, making his case that James went straight up and did not move. He had the position, but the refs obviously disagreed.
Well, Neil, I've been doing this for a long time. I've never seen an official say, oh, you know what, you're right, it wasn't a foul.
Me too. So this actually marks 25 years I've been covering sports as a reporter, and I've yet to see a call change.
And a critical turnover here as Johnson has a bad bounce pass that's picked up by Juno Anisette. This gives the Panthers a chance to improve on their lead. Held ball, possession Panthers. Checking into the game for the Panthers, Esdras Jean and Devin Buchanan. Crowd doesn't like this call either, but well, it's all right though.
As you like to say, Mark, one good turnover turns another, deserves another.
Dante Love is going to take the shot, Michael James, I meant to say, is going to take the shot there.
See, now we've mentioned the name Love so much, we're even mentioning it when they don't have the ball.
Daniel Love on the pass to Devin Buchanan for 2.
Who scored?
And here Johnson again loses the ball to a steal by Jordan Pulventud, who has, let's see, if I'm counting correctly, he now is up to 3 steals tonight. And the Panthers will request a full timeout. Full timeout called by Dr. Phillips.
So as we go to timeout there, Wekiva had fought back. Finally was able to sustain some of that play as far as what it likes to do, its strengths, and tied the game at 64, but has failed to score in the last 3 possessions, turning it over twice and missing a field goal. DP getting into transition off of those failed opportunities to score and getting easy layups.
Ladies and gentlemen, we invite you to join the Mustangs at their next game, which is at the Metro versus Florida Challenge. It'll be against the Hagerty Huskies coming up Friday at 5:30 p.m., and that will be located at Apopka High School. It's the 8th annual Metro versus Florida Challenge, a collection of 20 games, and the Mustangs have one of them. Again, it's against Hagerty, and it is coming up Friday at 5:30 at Apopka, as the Orlando Metro Conference puts their reputation on the line once again against some of the best teams in the greater Central Florida area. Again, the Metro versus Florida Challenge happening Thursday through Monday at Apopka High School, and Wekiva plays Hagerty coming up on Friday at 5:30. For those of you who are Dr. Phillips fans, they are participating as well. The Dr. Phillips game will be against Winter Haven High School Saturday at 11:45. Ball back into Daniel Love for the last 2 minutes and change of this ballgame. Panthers back on top by 3, still a game within reach, but the Mustangs so far have not been able to break that ceiling. Love.
And now Wekiva's defense is the most active of the entire game. Obviously, the ball was inbounded at half court, so you can't put on a full court press, but you're seeing 2 and even 3 men converging on the ball.
Dante Love to Esdras Jean.
And Dr. Phillips did a beautiful job there. They did not lose their poise, kept passing the ball until they were able to work it inside.
It makes it a 5-point game. Mustangs need to make something happen quickly here. Less than 90 seconds to go in this ball game. Tyrone Perry regains his footing and hits a 3 for the Mustangs. And we'll pause for a timeout. Full timeout requested by Wekiva.
I feel so close to you right now. It's a force field.
As we enter the last 73 seconds of this game, the Panthers have 3 players in double figures. Esdras Jean with 11 points, 5 rebounds. Abdelathiam with 15 points, 8 rebounds. And Daniel Love has the double-double with 18 points, 11 rebounds, and 4 assists. The Mustangs have 4 players in double figures, and all of them are on the court right now. Sam Bostic, 11 points, 4 rebounds. Michael James, 12 points, 3 rebounds. Jeremy Johnson, 5 points, 5 rebounds. And Tyrone Perry, co-leading all scorers with 18 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 assists. So that 3-point basket doing a world of good for the Mustangs. It's down to a 1-possession game, but they still need to get a stop here and then convert on their next possession to have their best chance of winning this ball game.
And the full court pressure's back on again, and DP breaks it.
Devin Buchanan from Jordan Poventude. And that's just what Wekiva did not need. The only saving grace of that is that it happened quickly.
And now DP is in a 1-2-2 zone. They're under a minute. Wekiva's got to get a shot off here quickly. They need at least 2 possessions.
Jeremy Johnson hits 2 for the Mustangs, and we'll pause for another timeout.
So again, If we said since the beginning of the season, when Wekiva needs points in a play, Johnson along with Perry are going to be your men, and they've scored the last 5 points.
30-second timeout is requested by the Mustangs. That leaves them with 1 full and 1 30-second timeout remaining. And the Panthers have 3 fulls and 1 30.
Full court pressure still been play, and Dr. Phillips breaks it once again. Now we got a loose ball.
Jeremy Johnson got a piece of that before it went out of bounds. Actually might have gone out of bounds anyway, but you can't blame him for trying to make the heads-up play.
No, you got to react on that play. And now Wekiva remains in a 2-3, and they're going to foul DP.
Push is called against Jeremy Johnson. That's 3 for him. At the line shooting double bonus is number 23, Esdras Jean.
So Dr. Phillips, for the most part here in the second half, has made their free throws, and that's been a big reason they've been able to maintain the lead. However, they have had a couple of possessions where they did not make the free throws. And they're not going to catch the break this time, Wekiva, that is. As the first free throw is good.
Well, Neil, you and I have been talking about this all season long, that the Mustangs have moments of brilliance, but have so far just not been able to put together 32 consecutive minutes of it. And here's an example right here as Jeremy Johnson loses the ball to a steal by Dante Love. And then we're going to call a full timeout requested by the Panthers.
Yeah, again, that was... Dr. Phillips really didn't do anything there to cause that turnover. Just looked like Jeremy tried to get a little too fancy for his own good. As the saying goes, he tried to outthink the room, tried to make a couple of stutter steps there, and the ball hit his ankles as he was trying to cross over dribble. So as we come back in now, Wekiva desperately needs a turnover, and they can't get it despite full court pressure. And now they're having trouble fouling DP.
Sam Bostic is calling his third personal foul. And that will send the Panthers back to the free throw line. This time Dante Love will shoot 2. So the Mustangs are now starting to run out of options for fouling. I mean, with 12 seconds left, it probably won't be an issue, but they have 2 players with 4 and 2 more with 3. So if this went on much longer, they would run out of fouls here.
There's only 12.5 seconds left, and it's going to really take a miracle now. Wekiva's going to need the ball twice, and they're going to have to score a tray both times. And now we got a turnover, and that's certainly going to do it.
Yeah.
Bad pass.
Harry misread the routes coming in from Sam Bostic, and that'll do it from here at Mustang Arena. That takes us to the end of the ball game. It's the Panthers holding on to the lead they established late in the second quarter. Mustangs had it as close as a tie at the midpoint of the fourth, but it will be a 6-point victory for the Panthers here to open up the 2018 half of the season. 75 69 is the final score at Mustang Arena. Leading scorer for the Panthers, Daniel Love with 18 points and 11 rebounds as he picks up the double-double. Mustangs are led by Tyrone Perry with 18 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 assists. Ladies and gentlemen, we thank you so much for coming out tonight or listening online to support your Mustang and Panther athletes. Again, both of these teams have their next game at the Metro versus Florida Challenge. The Mustangs will play at 5:30 on Friday at Apopka against Haggerty. And the Panthers will play on Saturday against Winter Haven at 11:45 in the morning. We hope that you'll join both of these schools at Apopka for the Metro versus Florida Challenge. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Wekiva Sports and bookmark WekivaMustangs.com for all of your scores, schedules, and more. For those of you in the arena, please drive carefully and arrive home safely. And for those of you online, Neil and I will be with you in just a moment to wrap things up here at Mustang Arena.
Got the score there.
Ladies and gentlemen in the arena, at this time we ask if you are waiting for a ride or for one of the players to emerge from the locker room, that you please do so in the gym lobby or on the patio outside the arena so that our administrators can prepare the facility to be closed. We appreciate your cooperation. All right, Neil. Well, another game that, again, had its moments, but the Mustangs are going to end this one in disappointment with a 6-point loss here to the Dr. Phillips Panthers in a non-district game, but not quite the way the Mustangs wanted to open up the 2018 half of the season.
No, absolutely not. And, of course, DP, as we mentioned, going all the way back to the beginning, they are a state power. They have been a state power for 2 decades now. They have a streak of 23 straight years of winning at least 20 plus games. and they have made the playoffs, or if you prefer, the FHSAA postseason tournament during each of those years. And basically, to use an old cliche, if you want to be the man, you got to beat the man. In this case, Dr. Phillips is the man, and Wekiva, for as far as they've come, they're still having a lot of problems this year, obviously, but this was a golden opportunity that they let go by the boards. And it was kind of an unusual game in the sense that it wasn't exactly what we're used to seeing between these two teams over the last 3-4 years or so, with Wekiva trying to reach that level and DP still trying to assert itself as one of the dominant teams, the teams that, anything less than a state championship or at least a run to the state championship final is considered a down or a bad season.
Yeah, I think this particular game, the first thing that just went wrong for the Mustangs was Michael James picking up those 2 fouls early. He is somebody that the Mustangs kind of count on to fill Paul Reed's shoes, use his height, push into the paint a little bit, and he just wasn't there for much of the first half to do that, which caused the Wekiva to kind of tread water there. I mean, we ended the first quarter 17-all. We ended the second quarter almost 17-all. The Panthers ended up getting the last word of that one to go into the locker room with just a 2-point advantage. And then in the second half, once the Mustangs went ahead and put Michael James back in, it was just a series of not a series, but an inability to put together a series of great drives. There were, you had moments where the Mustangs would make a nice bounce pass, get a good assist going, but then that would be interrupted by a turnover or two. And so you just didn't have that consistency for all 32 minutes. And as a result, Wekiva was able to tread water with DP, but never really put any distance.
Yeah, and I would also say that, now that we're, 13 games in, 14 games in, we're definitely getting past the halfway point.
Yeah, so that makes the Mustangs 5-9, which would make it their 14th game of the year.
Well, we're 14 games into the season, and that's been pretty much the story there is that, and we talked about throughout this whole game, they show great moments where they look as capable of playing to the level that the team last year did. Of course, last year's team making it all the way to the state final and was down by 2 points entering the fourth quarter. They'll do that for 2 or 3 possessions, and then they come back and they have 2 or 3 possessions where they look like they've never played together. They have yet to find that chemistry, that gelling together that you always hear coaches talking about. And, of course, I started this broadcast today talking about what they did at the Charger Classic down in Suncoast. They lost that game, and when I spoke to Coach Lubin, that was what he said. He said, basically, we're still trying to find that footing as far as playing together. Of course, we do have about half the team have played together, but you also have half the team that's playing at the varsity level for the first time. So not just with the other players, but, we're 14 games in again. We've reached that point where that shouldn't really be an excuse, or at least we should be able to win some of these games. This game was very indicative of most of the losses. I'd probably say 8 out of the 9 losses where they're never really far behind. They keep themselves close enough that if they can make that run, if they can put together a series of possessions and maybe even 2 or 3 minutes of playing up to their capability, which, as I mentioned, could be as good as last season's team, they can pull out a win. But yet we have not been able to see them put together that stretch of time, that series of possessions, or just a run. They do one good thing. They get themselves to the free throw line like we saw here in the last 20 seconds or so.
They shot 29 free throws tonight and made 75% of them. So
yeah, but in the last 30 seconds they got to the line there. They forced one of the players to have 4 fouls, which basically negates what he can do. And then on the next possession, Jeremy Johnson comes down and basically outthinks the room, tries to make a juke, and as he's trying to do a crossover dribble, it hits his ankles, and he turns the ball over, and that's their game. And that's pretty much been, again, not just the season in the sense of the 5-9 record, but if you look at every game, they do the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, and I mean, the Mustangs totaled 17 turnovers today, and you can get away with that with a mediocre team. But Dr. Phillips, while this may not necessarily be their best season ever, they are certainly still a better than mediocre team. They are just slightly behind pace, but well within striking distance of hitting that 20-win goal that they set for themselves every season. And, I mean, the Mustangs now, they are now 1-2 in district play. And they played competitively against West Orange and Evans, but again suffered from many of the same problems that we saw here. So they really need to correct that, and quickly, as we get ready to go into the second half of the district season.
Yeah, and also I didn't want to say it during the broadcast, but they did miss a golden opportunity. West Orange actually lost to Apopka, and of course Apopka is the one team that Wekiva beat, and West Orange beat Wekiva. So I know this wasn't a district game, but it was a golden opportunity to come in with, as Coach Lubin likes to say, some swag to get when they do get back into that district, to be able to say, hey, if we can beat Dr. Phillips, we can come back and get that victory against West Orange. And they're coming off of a loss, so they're losing they're licking some wounds, and they're vulnerable.
Right. So as you started to allude to earlier, the Mustangs at this point they're playing like it's closer to the first week of November or December rather than the first week of January. And so they're going to need to accelerate that gelling as a team that we saw them do so well last season. Yeah. And I really don't think that it's just, oh, well, we don't have Paul Reed anymore. Oh, well, we don't have Reuben Shepard anymore. I mean, there's no doubt about it. That stings a lot.
Right.
But at the same time, yes, those two provided a lot of leadership. They provided a lot of skill. But the Mustangs have got to be able to function with that cohesive movement, staying a half a step ahead of the other team, and play like a team that has been playing together for a while as we get into January.
And again, going back to my point is, yes, you did lose a lot with Paul Reed and Reuben Shepard, and there was a couple of other guys because they didn't just play well together, but they played together for several years. However, we are 14 games into the season. You are no longer in that first week. You are past the halfway point. You have had enough games to know what your teammates do, to know what their strengths are, to know what their weaknesses are, and to be able to put them in a position where they can use their strength. And you're also playing 14 games. You should know better than not to make some of these mistakes that Wekiva is making. Again, we came down the stretch. Wekiva never let the lead go back to 8. They finally put together a run, and it was a 10-2 run, and they tied the game up at 64. They did everything great during that stretch. They made 4 out of 5 field goals. They got to the free throw lines a couple of times. They forced a couple of turnovers. They didn't make any mistakes. And then they come back, and Dr. Phillips scores 5 straight points, which turned out to be the difference. And, of course, that was because they got 2 offensive rebounds when the score was 64-64. The second one resulted in number 10 being fouled.
Yep, that was Love. Mm-hmm.
Love, okay, that was one of the Loves. That's right, they're 10-1. One of the Loves gets fouled. He goes to the free throw line, makes 1 out of 2 to give Dr. Phillips the lead again. And you could just feel all that momentum, which Wekiva had been building, was lost. And that's also a mistake, too, because it's just like you feel like they expended all the energy, all the momentum, all the mental focus they had, and really that drive and catching up, and they lost it all because of that one free throw, and Love and Dr. Phillips taking that lead. And then, of course, they turned the ball over on the next 2 possessions, and you get 2 field goals scored by Dr. Phillips. Both of them were fairly close. One was a layup, the other was an 8-foot turnaround, and both of those Wekiva failed to get to the defense failed to rotate properly. So it's not. When you look at what's going on this year, and again, it all goes back to the fact that we have had those several new guys coming in, and Coach Lubin keeps saying, that we're still learning to play together. It's not just the tangible, it's also affecting the intangible and what's going on between the ears. And we saw that tonight when Dr. Phillips made what turned out to be the streak of 5 points that won the game. They didn't do anything fancy. They didn't do anything spectacular. They just simply did not make a mistake. They waited for Wekiva to make the mistake. and then they wound up in the position to score the 5 points on 3 consecutive possessions.
Yeah, and I mean, as we said, we certainly have a lot of individual talent on the Mustangs team this year. You've got the leadership of Tyrone Perry. He's an all-area honorable mention as a junior from last year. He's ranked number 57 among the senior class of 2018 in Florida by FloridaHoops.com. You've got Jeremy Johnson, another all-area honorable mention from last year as a junior. And then, of course, Michael James. He is the number 6 player in Florida for the freshman class, which that's saying something because they only rank 25 of them.
Right.
And so he's definitely made a splash.
And
then
a lot more fresh. There's a lot more freshmen who are playing freshman in JV ball than varsity.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Anytime you have a direct to varsity freshman, you want to pay attention to that. And like I said, all of them show signs of absolute brilliance, and they are absolutely earning their place in the starting lineup. Sam Bostic, who also joins the starting lineup, also provides a lot of skill to the Mustangs, as does Isaac Laster as a junior. They all have their individual strengths, but what normally gives you the edge as a well-oiled team is that you know what your teammates are going to do, and the opponent does not.
Right.
And that's what enables you to stay one step ahead of them. And the Mustangs have not yet been able to consistently demonstrate that level of intuition. So we'll leave it at that for now. As we mentioned at the end of the broadcast, both the Mustangs and the Panthers have their next game at the Metro versus Florida Challenge. I will be there covering all 20 of those games. Neil will join me for at least some of them.
Yes.
And so we'll be giving actually a very similar call to what you see here at Wekiva. As we continue that tradition, that's more of a personal tradition of Neil's and mine. Even though the tournament has moved with Scott Williams to Apopka, it is something that we've been following ever since its inception, as it is now in its 8th year, where the Orlando Metro Conference is the home team in each game, and one of the better teams in the greater Central Florida area is invited to challenge each of them as the visiting team in each game. And we kind of keep a just for fun scorecard of how the Metro Conference does against the other teams. It also features a girls game for the first time this year. That'll be Friday night at 6 with Apopka versus Lake Minneola, so that'll be an addition to the tradition. Another thing that's a little bit different about this year's event is that Apopka is the only team that is repeating a game. Every other team is involved in just one, which is a testament to the breadth of the schools being involved. We now have 39 teams participating in 20 games out of a possible 40. So that's really quite an achievement for Coach Williams and his program at Apopka that, of course, he started building here at Wekiva some years ago. So we will see you then, we hope, coming up on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Monday. Until then, Happy New Year. My thanks to Neil Fisher from the Apopka Chief joining me for tonight's game. And my name is Mark Barchi, the voice of the Mustangs, wishing you good night.
Think we can beat the dead horse anymore?